Welcome to Tuesdays with Aaron and
Martha.
we are really excited to have you here today again. We want to thank all of you for tuning in last Tuesday when we talked about all the wonderful things you need to do at the beginning of homeschooling and sending out your letter of intent and getting started. Now today, we're going to talk about, well, Martha's mostly going to talk about scheduling, and I'm going to talk about curriculum, and then we're going to all talk about all these wonderful ways you need to think about your own child's learning style and interests.
That's right.
So before we get started, a little housekeeping. Our book will again be promoted next Tuesday, so keep tuning in. We're going to have a free giveaway next Tuesday. And we want to thank all of our listeners at TDN Radio, YouTube, and Facebook. Please like and subscribe.
That's
and we want to also invite you to send any questions to us. I did get one parent who said, "You mean you're supposed to do an evaluation every year?" So I said, yes, you really need to do that. So read our book. It's important that you know the ins and outs of homeschooling before you get started, so you can do things in a really wonderful way and you will have a wonderful experience with your child.
Exactly. You want parents to know if you keep your child at home, no letter of intent, no evaluation, you can have a truant officer coming to your home saying, we have not seen your child. We have to be accountable. Homeschooling does not mean that you just keep your child and free from everybody's business, pretty much. The state still needs to know that you are raising a child who is going to be a citizen that will be able to function well. And in order to do that, you have to educate your child. And so you are expected to be accountable. So yes, you need to write a letter of intent and also send in your evaluation at the end of each year to assure the state that you have been educating your child and your child is on par with the state.
Yes. And we are both certified teachers who've been teaching for 25 or so years.
40 years, that's right.
And we've been working with children in and out of public school, and we've taught in public school and the university. So we've got some experience under our belt that can really help you, and we want you to profit from what we know.
That's right.
Welcome to our channel. So we're going to talk about the what and the how of homeschooling. What do you want to present to your child? If we're going to, and the how is mostly scheduling. So should we start out with how you schedule?
Yes, definitely. So what we want to tell parents is that you're going to keep your child at home, but we do not want you to think that because your child is homeschooled, then you can have them wake up today at 8 o'clock and tomorrow at 10 and the other day at 11 and then the next one at maybe 3. That does not represent consistency. So although your child is at home, you definitely want to encourage some sort of scheduling. You may choose to put in your breaks wherever you please. You may choose to start later or earlier if you please, but we want you to be consistent. So for example, I don't know, in our book on page 8, we actually have a little example in there. So for example, on Monday, if you decide every day in the week, we wake up at 8, we begin school at 9, the first 2 classes of the morning are going to be our core classes. So on Monday, we decide we're going to have math first, and then we'll have language arts next. Then what happens after? We probably take a break, and then we have an elective, or we have play, or that elective might be something that involves maybe farming or cooking or something related to home. But the point is, the next day, when Tuesday comes, You want to be consistent again. So from that same time, you had your social studies and your science. And the afternoon, you want to go ahead and do your electives. But the point is, you want that child to understand that this is where what we have agreed upon, and we have to be consistent.
And
You
the
cannot
wonderful
start
part about
them.
this is routine. If they get into
Exactly.
a routine, sometimes you don't even need to tell them what to do.
Exactly, exactly. But if you have a routine and then you probably have an emergency, like last week, Karen gave an example where a mom was hospitalized and she was worried, but the kids knew their routine. They knew what they had to do first, next, after, and even whoever was caring for them did not have that problem because mom had already set that scheduling and that routine in place. If you have a
Another thing about the scheduling is you can also choose, right, when to do it.
yes.
You
So
don't
that's
have to do it in September through June.
exactly. And that's where the pacing is going to come through. Because, for example, at Catherine Eileen, we haven't started officially, we're going to start on October 1st, which means we will have up till July 31st. But if a parent decides, I can fit in my 130 days, 80 days, sorry, before that time, because we're not going to take 3 weeks off for December. We're not going to take all those weeks off. You can actually cover your curriculum and meet standards and make gains within your specific time. And
A
that's
lot
the
of a lot
beauty.
of families in Florida take their summer vacation is in the wintertime.
Yes,
So they'll take December and January is their time off.
right. And then they work through the summer with their kids at school. So, and that's the beautiful thing about homeschooling. So you can decide, but we want you to know that scheduling is very, very important. And you don't just think of the four core subjects. You want to think of all of your electives, your art and craft, your cooking, your farming, whatever those electives are that you decide you're going to have with your child. Make sure you find a place for it and be sure to be consistent. If you are one of those parents with kids that are kids who are gamers, they like the game, well, that's also part of your scheduling. You want kids to know that we cannot play gaming at a certain specific time of the day. We have so if you practice that child with scheduling or being consistent with routines, you're not gonna have that problem because they know. And then next week when we talk about contracts, right, Karen? We're gonna talk about contracts and setting rules in place, and that is gonna come so closely aligned with our scheduling. You will have to create contracts. You would have to create some kind of behavior contract
Yeah.
and rules in place to ensure that those schedules are actually met or sustained.
And you want to get that routine set for a couple weeks, and then you sit them down when everybody's happy, and you'll do that behavior contract. And a tip I always tell parents is what you really want to do is put the thing in they love the most at the end of the day,
Right.
and put the things that require the most concentration at the
And
beginning
the
of the
first
day,
beginning of the day.
so they're fresh. And
Yeah,
have interspersed with the activities and the academics play. You
that's
want
right.
to schedule time to play.
Mhm. So just before we move into play, I want to say one thing though that one of the things we suggest in the book is if you try a particular schedule and after 1 week you notice that it's not working for your child, it's okay to change. That's where you can sit with your child and say, okay, I noticed that you did not perform well this week. Tell me what it is that you didn't like. And that child could say, well, I didn't like the idea of having math so close to lunch or right after lunch or first thing in the day. Or I didn't like the idea of having or starting at 8 o'clock. Can we start at 9? Or I didn't like the idea of starting at 10. Can we start at 9? So you want to make sure that after the first week, you pay close attention. It's like monitoring. What went well, what did not go well. And then the next week, you want to go ahead and make those conscious changes with your child, not just what you noticed, but have that discussion with your child. I noticed that you did not do very well on this, or that did not work very well. Tell me what we can do. What would you like? And then you want to go ahead and make that change. Now, we do not want you to have your child think that it's okay to make that change every week. So and that's where contracts and behaviors are gonna come in, because you are gonna have to make that decision that where it's going to be consistent over a period, especially if you're in the same place. I know sometimes we travel, sometimes other things happen, and things may change, but for the most part, you want that consistency, those routines in place to ensure that learning is going to take place. Okay?
Exactly. And once you've got that schedule in place, you need to know what you're going to teach and how you're going to pick what curriculum you want. And the thing you want to look at is the scope and the sequence of the learning. So the scope meaning what kind of knowledge it covers over a period of time. So, and how it is sequenced. So you want everything you do to scaffold the next thing. That means, like, if you're going to go up a flight of stairs, you can't just jump to the top stair. You need to go up each step, one step at a time. And a good curriculum is like that. A good curriculum has steps and a process.
Mm-hmm.
And it contextualizes your learning. So how do you contextualize learning? That means you get involved in it and you have an experience. You might smell something. If you're teaching about apples, you smell an apple, you feel the apple, you draw a picture of an apple. You scratch what the sound of an apple is, or what does an apple sound like when it drops. If you involve all the senses, a child is going to remember what they're learning. And so let's talk about what are some good curriculums. For each topic of academic study, you need to get the curriculum that works for your child's learning style and your child's approach to learning. In the book, I highly recommend Saxon Math for math, because it does have those steps measured out and lots of practice problems. So children, if they have a problem understanding how to do a certain math problem, they have repetition and they have parental instructions that read through the steps to the child and involve them with pennies, and you can sit with your child and count the pennies and add them, and they tell the parents exactly what to say to the child when they're learning how to do math. And for history, I like Story of the World because it tells history as a story. Now, I will say I'm watching some things online right now about woke history. I haven't looked at that curriculum, but I'm really interested in it. It does start with colonization. So I like the Story of the World right now because it starts at the beginning of supposed civilization up until the present. But the cool thing about homeschooling is you as the parent get to decide what's important to you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. What are your values? What do you believe in? What do you want your child to embody as their life skills and their life involvement in the world and the values that they have? This is a huge opportunity. So, especially when it comes to the history curriculum. Science there's all kinds of different science. There's the Apologia curriculum that has some beautiful pictures. I'm not sure I agree with all the creationism myself, but parents do get a chance to make that kind of a decision when they're homeschooled. I do like the state-approved textbooks with Glenn Coe because they really do teach the scientific process and the biology, the chemistry, the physics, and the Macmillan books are nice too. So there's all kinds of benchmarks that are available online, and it's in our book.
That's right.
You can go online and find out exactly what your child needs to know for their grade level. There are books that you can buy, workbooks that you just have them do a couple workbook pages a day that's in their grade level. For right now, that's acceptable.
There's actually another one, Starline. Starline is also they provide a lot of workbooks for the kids, and it's everything is right in there, self-contained pretty much, and it works well for people who are not concerned about the computer version of things. They can actually, it's print, and they can write in there and instructions for parents and everything, and it pretty much is a decent curriculum that homeschooling parents can use as well.
Yeah, and there's a big talking about direct instruction, and there's this professor, I forget his name, but he talks about actually good instruction has a script written out about exactly how to involve a child in particular, especially like reading. There's like how to read in 100 days. That's a really interesting book. I wish I had used maybe, but Explode the Code. I don't know if you heard about Explode the Code.
Not really.
Yeah, that one, and the Calvin books, the Calvin education. There's a lot of different ones. Susan Weisbauer has a book that she wrote, The Well-Trained Mind, and she outlines all the different curriculums that she knows about. But that's old. That book is a little old. So now online, like the Kathleen Eileen Academy has. Do you have printouts of hands-on worksheets?
No printers. All our solutions are going to be virtual.
Okay.
Except for writing, of course. The writing section is going to be, we still have prints, but all our solutions are going to be virtual. So for the 6 through 12, we have more options with history, but for K through 12, K through 5 is just basic social studies. 6 through 12, we have a lot more options as far as the curriculum that is concerned.
Wonderful.
And we have options in things like videography and photography and drafting and those kind of things that are kind of not the normal, classes. So we have those extra things which I think students can find a lot of fun, especially the upper grades, can find a lot of fun doing. Graphic design is also one of them. So we have quite a few options that they might be interested in. And again, since parents are going to create their own, they're going to fashion what they want, or they and the kids are going to fashion their own curriculum. As a ninth grader, you can decide, once I've taken my 4 science, math, social studies, and English, you can do whatever those electives you want. It could be photography, it could be videography, it could be drafting, it could be plumbing, whatever you want, you can do that with us. And that's what I like about what we are offering at Catherine Eileen, is to be able to give students that opportunity to choose their own electives. We don't have music, of course, but those other things that you would want, because this is the technological age. So if kids can create, every child wants to be a YouTuber those days. And if you learn how to create great videos, what else do they want?
Yeah.
So I think we have viable options that can really attract the 21st century child. And that's why I'm excited about this.
Me too. And I think the key is to have a child that is an active thinker.
Exactly.
And if you we can know all we know about all there is to teach, but what really matters is not what a child learns, but how they learn.
How they learn it.
If they learn how to problem solve, think creatively, and research for information, they are going to find their own way in this advanced technological world.
Oh, yes.
And that's where we come to the part in the book that I like to highlight is that you need to play with your child and you need to involve them, give them a chance to really just be a child. And if you take a role, you can facilitate them becoming an active thinker by just getting involved. Ask your child questions. If there's other children in the room, try to facilitate some peer interaction. And if there's friends around, that will help. When a child's play is complex and involved, you know that they're building thinking skills.
That's right.
If you encourage your child to think about the time, the place, the immediate surroundings and circumstances, and the action of their imaginings, you'll notice that their play becomes more complex.
Of course.
And when their play gets more complex, their thinking becomes more complex.
Exactly.
And then they apply that to their studies.
That's right. That's right. Yes. So the younger child is going to be, that pertains so much more to the younger child. So the K all the way through 5, when you have those play, I watch my niece right now playing. She does tea, and at first she used to use the fictitious teapots, and now she uses the real ones on the table. Every Sunday morning she wants to set the table, and she visited me, and she did it. So she had everything she had done in play. Now she was doing it, in real time, and was, demanding certain respect at the table and some etiquette and stuff. So the whole idea that they're thinking, and now she wants to conduct interviews at the table. So she's just developing, and all of that came out of her play. Another thing it brings me to mind is that for the older kids, a lot of times we're so stringent. We want them to present their learning in a particular form. And although it's not really play, but because they get to do it in a way that is so relaxed, they do such a better job. When COVID-19 started and we stayed at home, I had an assignment where students were supposed to interview their parents and say whether they would like to continue school at home or stay, come back to school during fall. And I gave them the option. I said, if you would like, you can record your work and send it in. And it was just so moving that the young lady who might have been struggling with her writing, she had way more than I anticipated. She had 3 beautiful interviews. You would swear she was a news anchor. Interviewed her mom, her dad, her aunt, her sister, 4, and plus submitted the letter or the response to the governor in an audio version. So here it was. That young lady was pretty much having fun. But I was so pleased because her grammar was in place. Every aspect of the assignment was taken care of. I know if she had to write that, she would not have written all of those things that she had expressed. So while we can say play, yes, for the younger ones, for the older ones, we want to give them those opportunities. Let them create storyboards. Let them create cartoons. Let them create their little TikTok or their whatever it is that they love. Let them create those things. They think that they're playing, but they're actually utilizing their skills, their creative skills, their thinking skills, their research skills. And the beautiful thing about those short expressions is that it forces them to be concise, to be precise. I mean, think about Twitter that forces you to send a message teaching students to express themselves in more concise ways. So I think we need to actually incorporate all of those little whatever is happening around them in the way that they learn at home, and we can pull that out of them. We can develop those same critical thinking skills, analytical thinking skills, research skills by allowing them that flexibility to be able to incorporate those kind of things in their learning.
And I think as they get older, you need to still give them a chance to get involved in their whatever they're interested in and make
Yeah.
mistakes
Oh yeah.
and solve their own problems.
Problems. That's right. That's right.
Because if they make those mistakes and solve their own problems when they're with you, when they grow up and leave home,
they're not going to come back. They'll solve those problems. That's right. They're not going to come back. They'll solve it all on their own because we teach them how to do that. And that's what we want to do. And that's why, I mean, I've never frowned on homeschool, and I want parents to know that that is what we want you to teach your child. Give them that opportunity to develop critical thinking skills. Give them problem solving opportunities. Give them opportunities to be creative. Don't just let it fast. It must be done that way. They might be able to find a new and innovative way to solve an old problem. So give them that liberty, give them that freedom so that they can be those inventors that we need. You know, we're not finished inventing things. We still have things to invent. So give them that opportunity so that they can use their creation, use their imagination, and create, you know, interesting things.
Well, cool. And then back to our things that we're going to cover today. I want to wrap things up right now, if that's all right, and just summarize what we've talked about so far. So we talked about scheduling and how valuable it is to get a good schedule and a routine so everybody knows what to do when. And then we talked about what a good curriculum looks like with a good scope and sequence of knowledge, and how you have the choice to choose that curriculum, and the lists of the types of curriculum are in our book. And the need to use the interest inventory that we have provided by picking the involvement that your child is going to get involved in that builds on the curriculum and the standards that we have defined in our book. And those also can be found online on your State Board of Education standard site. And that link is also in our book. So any more that we've covered yet still? I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
That is pretty much it. And one thing I would really like, I know we're going to talk about what we do next week, right? We said we're going to talk about behavior contracts. We're going to talk about setting rules. And I want to touch a bit on just cultivating habits. Because when you set rules, when you create contracts, when you have routines in place, all of that comes with just cultivating habits and how those good habits are going to lead to success. And so we will just use that to tie in the idea of routines, behavior contracts, and setting rules.
Awesome.
And I think you're going to be on the good track to having your child well educated wherever you please.
And remember, you are not alone in this process. There's lots of wonderful homeschool groups that are out there waiting for you to join them. And there's me and there's Martha out there to help you get through this. And we also do homeschool evaluations. So we're here for you. And if you want to get in touch with us, here is Martha's email, marthajwatts@yahoo.com, and my email, karenwhiteporter@gmail.com. And if you want a response, please put Homeschool Now in the subject header of your message so we can keep an eye out for you and respond to your questions.
Nice. So remember, if you're looking at us on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you're looking on Facebook, you can do the same. You can share and you can also like. And if you're listening to us on TDN Radio, thank you very much for listening. And then we will see you next time, or you will hear us next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.